you've been hitting your legs every week and seeing no growth, it's probably not the exercises you're doing, it's how you're sequencing them that's holding you back. Let me show you the proper way to sequence a leg day. Every leg day, I start mine off with doing adductors. So these inner thighs are probably one of the most neglected areas for men. Women do them all the time, but men, they're an afterthought. We tend to think we don't need nice, toned inner thighs, but they will make your overall leg bigger, and it's gonna help warm up your hips and everything else for squats. So I always start with adductor. I'm gonna show you how to kind of set it up so you don't do them wrong. Mine, I don't have to hit this handle to adjust it, but I'm gonna show you just in case yours is like, hit that handle. You wanna get as big a range of motion as you can get without hurting yourself. It's probably a little bit too much. You wanna get there. We want big range of motion. We wanna squeeze, come out slow and controlled. Feel that adductor working, squeeze in. Slow and controlled, squeeze in. We just want sets of like 12 to 15 here. Nothing crazy, just trying to work those inner thighs, get them warmed up and ready to roll for squatting and all our other compound movements, but also just developing that inner thigh so we have a bigger overall leg from the front to the back. Right, after adductors, I always roll into my hamstring exercise for two reasons. First reason being, if you put the hamstrings at the end of your leg day like most guys do, by the time you squat, lunge, leg press, leg extension, by the time you do all that, most guys are too fatigued or exhausted to want to do any kind of hamstring work, and that's almost half of your leg is your hamstring. So if you don't put any effort in your hamstrings, your overall leg development is going to be stalled. So that's the first reason I start with the hamstrings. The second is because almost the same as why I start with adductors. It warms up those, when those hamstrings are warm, it just feels nice and loose when you get down there to squat and do all the other compound movements. Your hamstrings are warmed up and ready to help you push. So hamstring curls, how to properly do those. We want to make sure we're not machine gunning reps here. We're not up and down. We're good slow stretch, up and squeeze. Slow down and stretch those hams. Flex up hard at the top. So nothing crazy here. Again, 10 to 15 reps. And again, my last set here, I'm always going to try to push to failure. So picking a hard weight for 10 to 12 and take it to failure. Again, giving those hamstrings some work at the beginning of your leg days instead of at the end is really going to prioritize them to grow. And so some alternates here. If you don't like the line curl, you got the seated hamstring curl, you got the single leg curl. There's lots of alternates gyms have now, so just pick one hamstring curl, then you roll into your quads and your compound movements. All right, now that our hamstrings and adductors are good and warm, we're gonna start getting into our compound movements, our bread and butter movements. So the first one I like to do is a hack squat. I prefer this over back squats, barbell squats, stuff like that, because it takes your back out of the movement. There's no risk for injury. You're really loading your quads, so it's really gonna isolate your legs a lot harder than a barbell squat. So hack squats, I want my feet kind of low on this platform. You can go higher if you want. I like mine lower to isolate those quads a little harder. We're coming down slow and controlled, getting a good stretch on those quads. Let my hips drop below my knees and driving up. Getting low, driving up. So this is our first compound movement, our first bread and butter movement. This is the movement we want to try to progressively overload every week, meaning if I do 4 plates aside for 10 this week, the next week I need to do 4 plates to side for 11 or 12 reps, or do 5 plates per side for like 8. So every week I want to try to do more weight or more reps. This is our first compound movement. The next one's gonna be leg press. Before we move to that leg press, let me give you some alternates to that hack squat in case you don't have it. So most gyms have a hack or a Smith machine. So obviously your first alternate or replacement exercise for the hack squat, if you don't have it, is the barbell squat, which is not a favorite of mine, but it is an option. The second one is just a Smith machine squat. I want my feet out in front. So I almost try to mimic what I did on that hack squat. My back's straight, I'm coming down, coming back up. So this is a good alternate. If you come right here, we have alternates like this in my gym, the pendulum squat. Any kind of squatting exercise where the weight is loaded here and you're coming out is a good replacement for that hack squat in case you don't have it. If you do have that hack squat, prioritize that first. All right, our second bread and butter movement, our second compound movement is the leg press. Everybody's got a leg press in their gym, no matter if it's a machine, double leg, whatever it may be, everybody's got a leg press. So this is the second movement every week we want to try to progressively overload with more weight or more reps on. So everybody knows how to do a leg press. I'm just going to show you, make sure you're doing the proper form here. So we're coming up, I'm unlocking, same thing. Your feet can go anywhere on this platform, but if I'm trying to prioritize my quads, I'm gonna make sure my feet are a little bit lower on that platform and maybe just about hip width. And same thing, I'm coming down, let my knees come outside my body, get deep on that range of motion, pushing back, slow, pushing back, slow, big range, drive up. And again, every week I wanna do more reps or more weight, trying to progressively overload. So this should be our second compound movement before we move into getting our pump. All right, guys, if you're beating your head into the wall with all your other muscle groups trying to grow them and nothing's working, subscribe to the channel. I have videos on every body part on how to get past sticking points. All right, now that we've pretty much exhausted the crap out of our quads with doing 2 compound movements, we're gonna finish the quads off with a pumping exercise, and we got the good old leg extension here. So some weeks I actually do this before the leg press and hack squat as a way to pre-exhaust my quads to make those movements feel even harder. But 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna come here after those movements to really just try to flush those quads full of blood. So to do that, I'm not necessarily doing anything crazy. All I'm really doing, everything is still under control, like I did on my hack squat, my leg press, everything else, everything's under control. I'm just doing 12 to 15 reps. But to make sure that blood stays in those quads and we get a really good pump, what I'll do is I'll hit 15, I'll get up and I'll kind of walk around, I'll watch the clock, I'll go 30 seconds, so just 30-second breaks here. So we're still doing 3 to 4 sets, but we're only doing 30-second breaks. Doing that is gonna flush those quads full of blood, but finishing those quads off with a pump is really gonna expand that fascia and give it an opportunity to grow. So most phases are done. Now we're gonna finish with our last phase, which is stretching everything out. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. All right, to finish off the bulk of the workout, we're gonna finish with a stretching exercise. We're gonna do RDL. So finishing off with a stretch, we're pretty much making those legs, everything's all tight and jumbled up and just real cramped up from all the heavy pressing and extending we've done. So now we're gonna stretch everything out, expand that fascia with an RDL. So a good stretching movement. So I want my feet, before I turn, I'm gonna show you from the side. My feet are hip width. I'm keeping a slight bend in my knees, my back. The main important thing is to keep my back flat, push my hips. So I'm pushing my hips back. These weights are traveling down my leg, and then I'm pulling in. So I want to stop the movement when my lower back can't go, or when my hips can't go back anymore. So let's say I push back my hips can't go back anymore. I don't want to use my lower back to keep going down anymore. This is not a lower back movement. We're trying to make it be all hamstrings and hips. So I'm pushing back, push, 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 pull in. So it's all hips. There's another alternate I'm going to show you right after this one. Let me show you what that one is. So if your gym is lucky enough to have one of these in there, this compound movement where you can squat with your back against the pad, or you can squat here, this is another one I like to sub in week to week. So it's gonna just, some weeks I don't feel like holding those weights, heavy weights in my hands, so this is a good alternate. So what you'll do is face into the machine, pads on those shoulders, we're mimicking the RDL. So all I'm doing is unlocking here. Same movement we just did with those dumbbells, instead of the weights here. Now all I'm doing is holding these these handles, pushing my butt back, pulling in, keeping that back flat. My back is flat, my hips and hamstrings are the only thing working. Push back, pull in, stretch those hamstrings, stretch everything out, pull in. So this is a great alternate if you're just exhausted and don't feel like holding those weights in your hands and still want to overload those hamstrings and glutes and stretch everything out. No leg day is complete without doing calves. Don't be one of those dudes that skips your calves and has bird legs down at the bottom. So simplest way to work calves is you want to make sure you're working a full range of motion, okay? So I'm going to choose to do my calves on this demo with the standing calf raise. So I want to make sure I'm coming all the way down, like my heels are trying to touch the ground, and I'm coming up to my tiptoes. So I'm holding that stretch, and I'm holding the flex. All I'm doing here is 12 to 15, just really milking each rep. Each rep has a lot of intent to it. There's no wasted reps here. I'm really trying to exhaust those calves with a good stretch and a good squeeze and a decent amount of weight. Again, don't neglect your calves. You can even work calves 2 or 3 times a week and they won't get overworked. They're only gonna grow. Don't skip your calves. So if you've been leading off your leg days with squats first, leg extensions second, not doing your hamstrings at all and skipping your calves, try this layout. Try, start with your hamstrings, your adductors, working those 2 compound movements as hard as you can and getting a pump. Try that for about 6 to 8 weeks or even less than that, and I promise you're gonna see some new leg growth. If you like this video, guys, and you wanna see more like it, subscribe to the channel. As always, stay swole.